Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is the Happy Cat here, and I am wrapped up in blankets, not because it's super cold out, but because it's just a little bit chilly and it's cold Seattle gray weather, which I'm so happy about because this summer was really, really hot and Seattle is not prepared for heat. There's no air conditioning in, I don't know, most places, definitely not my apartment building, so it was hard to even go to sleep because it was just so hot. I don't know. And so now I'm just relishing the fact that I can finally, I don't know, being from Chicago, maybe just wrapping myself in blankets was kind of like a default state. It gets so cold in the Midwest. You wouldn't expect how cold it gets. Like, probably the only place worse is Alaska. So I feel like being wrapped up in blankets is like my default comfort state. So I'm enjoying this right now. Anyways, so like I said, I have lots of thoughts in these, but I'll try to keep it to just a few things. Okay, so little story. I went to the Amazon bookstore. Amazon now has physical bookstores. I don't know how many they have, but I know they have a couple in Washington State, and I went to one for the first time. I had no clue how it would be different, how they would use the Amazon platform. It's kind of funny how Amazon was credited with kind of taking down retail bookstores, brick and mortar bookstores, and now they are building their own. So they basically destroyed an industry just so that they could replace it. Amazon giveth and taketh and giveth again. So I was wondering what they would do differently. And I will say I actually really enjoyed my experience. I would say as a bookstore, it feels more curated. So if you walk into a Barnes & Noble, you kind of get every book. Like every book you might want to buy, textbooks, random books, books you might not care about. And usually, this was one thing that was important for me. You see the shelves and they're lined up by the spines, you can just see a title. So usually when I'm browsing a bookstore and I have no clue what I want to get, you just see titles that jump out at you. And I don't know, there's plenty of books with just kind of plain titles that don't jump out to me that I really like. So I'm always wondering what kind of books am I missing, and so I tend to gravitate towards, if you know what I mean, there are those tables where the books are kind of selected by the employees, I guess, things that you might like. Amazon bookstore feels like just those tables, but every shelf, where books are always with the cover facing outward. This is just an important kind of design detail for me. The covers are always facing outward, so maybe on one shelf, instead of having 25 books all lined up by the spine, they have 4. And under each book is a placard with either a highlight review from Amazon, or it might say hey, this one got 10,000 5-star reviews, which I guess is way more than an average good book. It has some kind of fact or statistic that makes it special, or it looks like they kind of use their algorithms to say, hey, if you liked a really popular book, let's say Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, here's some others that you probably don't know that are similar. So I actually thought it was great. It was well curated, and it made me wonder if they actually if the number of books they chose for each subject was based on their actual volume on Amazon.com, if that makes sense. Because programming books, you go to a programming technology section in bigger bookstores, they'll just kind of have all the standard books you need. Maybe there's 10 books teaching you C#, and then others on Java, then others that are computers for dummies. You just kind of get the same general selection no matter what bookstore I went to. This one, it was more of there were just exactly 9 books on programming. I don't know how they were chosen. That's the other thing I want to see. I want to go back in a month or so and see how frequently they rotate their books and selections. Because if it's frequently rotated and everything is curated, everything has its own individual descriptor and reason why it's on the shelf, I don't know. I think that's great, and that would keep me going back just to browse. The other thing that was really cool about it was the way, so first, Amazon Prime members get Amazon Prime prices, which you might think, oh, that might be a little bit off here and there, but no, it was a huge difference. There was a a $25 book. I think it was what Bill Gates recommended. I think it might be the next book. I want to at least try reading, maybe just skimming through to understand the main points, called, what is it? The Better Angels of Our Nature, I think. It's about how violence is declining and how the world is becoming better, even though sometimes it can feel like there's more fear that things are getting worse. And I remember it was one that Bill Gates recommended, and then I remember looking it up, and there were some criticisms of it, but then other people liked it. I don't know. I'm always very skeptical of these, like, wow, so amazing and hopeful books, but maybe that says more about me than it says about the book. In any case, back to my main point. Book was $25. It's very thick, and the Amazon Prime price was, I think, at the time, it was like $8.99 or something. So that was over 50% off. If you were not a Prime member, you just pay regular bookstore prices. So then you might ask, okay, so let's say I want to get that book. I go to the register, and I'm guessing I have to like log in. I have to type my email on some iPad or tablet, whatever. And the way they did it was actually really cool. They said to take your credit card that you use on your Amazon Prime account, and you don't have to charge it on that credit card, but you just swipe, and that's essentially your ID that validates that you're a Prime member. And it was super easy. There was no hassle, no verification. I think they don't do cash at all. It's just swipe the credit card, that's your ID. And that was just a super interesting user experience that I haven't seen before. So what book did I get while I was there? Because I did not get Better Angels of Our Nature. I actually got, it was this really little book, because I only like getting books that I know I could finish within the next 3 days after buying them. I don't like accumulating clutter. And consequently, this book was called, I think, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by, I think, Marie Kondo. I'm remembering all this off the top of my head. Like I said, I don't prepare too much. I don't have my notes. And this was something that I guess, because like my mom had even heard of it, I guess she came on the Today Show or some news show, and it's just all about how she was this massive neat freak, like throughout childhood. Her favorite hobby, like if her brother's favorite thing was video games, her favorite thing was reading lifestyle magazines and organizing her house. And it's really interesting. I think one reason why I didn't connect to it, first, I think it's a decent read. Like if you're someone who collects clutter, I think it's a good intro to how to just like feel better in every way by cleaning up. But I think I didn't relate as much because, first of all, I think I already sort of have the mindset she does of just like, if I see something I don't need, I'm really good at just being like, whatever, donate it, get it out of my life. I'm just good at decluttering because I've had to move pretty much every year for the past 6 or 7 years, and my thought is always, do I want to store this in a box? Do I want to have to wrap this cup in paper or make sure it doesn't break? Do I want to do that for this individual cup? And you know what? Yes. One of my really good friends gave this to me as a present. I really like it. It's like my daily mug, and I only have about 2 special mugs. This one and another red one. So you know what? Yes, I will take the time to package these in a box. But the way she words it, which I think is way better than me, because mine's a little bit more utilitarian, I don't know. It's, you pick an item and you ask yourself, does this spark joy? That was the word the translator used. So like first, for example, you go through all of your clothes. And this was another tip that I thought was actually good, is to not try to do things a little bit every day, not to do one room in your house at a time, but all at once, get out your stuff in categories and go through it. And she says to do it all at once because if you have a lot of clutter, you're not going to feel motivated by how amazing it feels to have a decluttered room until you get absolutely everything out. And I totally agree with that because I think unlike a lot of goals, it's something that can give you instant gratification, make you feel awesome, and then it's a lot easier to maintain if all you have to do to maintain is just put things back after you use them. So I agree with that. If you want to clean up and really get your stuff together, just pick one day and do it all, and it'll be amazing. But then the next thing was doing things in categories. So for example, starting with clothes, because a lot of times you'll have clothes all over your house. You might have like some coats in the front, you might have, shoes, you have one closet, maybe you had other stuff in storage. It's amazing how even if you're not like a super, I don't know, wealthy, or you don't spend all that much, how easy it is to just accumulate stuff that you don't need. So you go through all of that and you pick up each item of clothing and you're like, do I wear this shirt? Does it actually make me happy? Or is it something that I'm like, I'll hang on to it, maybe I'll use it? Because whenever you feel like that, at least this is what I've learned too, whenever you're kind of tepid or lukewarm and you're like, maybe I'll use it, maybe I could give it to someone, just put it in a bag and donate it, or like throw it out. It hurts to throw things out, but I think that hurt is what motivates me, at least, to not buy things. Like when I go to a clothing store and I'm like, oh, this looks nice, and then I think, is there a possibility this could get thrown out? And it's like, yeah. Is there a possibility I could just, toss this in a donation bin in a year? And it's like, yeah. So I'm not going to buy that because I don't want to go through that pain of realizing how wasteful I was. So I'm going to prevent that now. Yeah, long story short, I was reading through the book and I realized about halfway through that I had already kind of developed the mindset she's talking about, but maybe not. Like, you can see my room isn't like perfect and like perfectly clean, because she was saying, for example, you should not hang up your clothes. You need a set of drawers, and your clothes should be folded, but they shouldn't be folded one on top of each other like a retail store. They all need to be upright. So it means, like, I think it would mean taking a t-shirt and really folding it. So I don't know, so you can see each item of clothing stacked like that. I don't know. She was describing all these folding methods and things where I'm like, I appreciate you, but I know I just can't do that, and I know that won't affect my life as deeply. I don't know. It's really fascinating though, because it sounds like, in the way for some people, it's like pick your poison. Do you like video games a little too much? Maybe you like sweets too much. For her, I think she likes cleaning a little bit too much, which is so funny. The other interesting thing about the book is that I think it's really reflective of traditional Japanese society, like the sort of conformity or stereotypes. How do I describe it? Like, where it's assuming, the book is very much, how do I describe this? It's very much assuming that you might be a part of Japanese society, and there are certain norms that you're already on the same page with her. Like that, that everyone knows how to cook and sew and clean, or that's something that's kind of expected of everyone, or that you likely live in a very tiny Japanese apartment, and here are tips for this certain size and shape and layout. Does that make sense? I don't know, because I've noticed this is actually true. So there's a series on Netflix, I'm sure maybe some of you have seen it, called Dad of Light. It's one big Final Fantasy 14 MMO ad, basically, but it's pretty cute. It's about like a son who plays Final Fantasy with his dad in secret. He doesn't tell him that that's his character, to try to like get to know his dad better. But I noticed in that show as well, it very much is assuming that you're kind of on the same page with these Japanese norms, and that it's interesting, even talking to some of my friends from Japan, how a lot of people have really similar experiences, even if they're from all different parts, where, your dad is kind of this generic office worker that wears the same kind of white shirt, black or gray pant. The mom is expected to do these types of things. You probably live in this type of house in this type of suburb, and you go to school to get a job similar to your dad. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. It's just very interesting reading this, and it's talking kind of like, oh, reader, you're probably in this in-group, right? So in any case, I wouldn't say it was a bad book. I would say maybe read it if you want some interesting ways to think about decluttering your stuff, if you're someone who kind of like, I don't know, who kind of has a lot of knickknacks and things that you feel like you don't have a clear mind or something. But anyway, so those are my two things I was thinking about. I was thinking about cleaning and how I'm actually pretty satisfied with my cleaning. I might just go through my stuff one more time this weekend, which will be fun. And the Amazon bookstores, I think, are actually really cool, and I really like how they're using their infrastructure to have physical experiences. I guess that's my closing thing. I really do think that Amazon doesn't have to kill small businesses. It'd be super cool if there were other retail stores, even small local businesses that could like use Amazon's fulfillment centers and warehouses. I don't know. Because then you have like the local experts to help you pick out stuff, but maybe you actually place an order through Amazon to get it delivered, so then you don't have to even carry a shopping bag out. Ideas. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll try to do these every day, every other day or so for the next week, and we'll see how it goes. But most importantly, have a happy day wherever you are. I'll see you guys soon.